Hey, everybody. Welcome back to It Takes Work. I am Stacy,
I'm Jelani.
and we are in episode 9. One episode left in season 1, and then we will be back to hang out with you guys in season 2 in February of
Next
2023.
year.
We're almost finished.
Yeah.
Yay. So, we're back, as promised, with part 2 of the intimacy conversation. And so I think we touched on it a little bit in last month's episode where we talked about challenges, we talked about the importance of it.
What's that a little bit?
Right. So I'm thinking tonight we probably, you want to talk about some of the struggles we have with intimacy.
Oh, that's the easy part.
We're going to talk about the struggles of intimacy from all facets of relationships actually. And then we're going to talk about solutions to those struggles, right? Because what good is it to talk about the challenges and the problems you have if you also aren't thinking of solutions and ways to change and manage those challenges, right? So, episode 9, intimacy, misinterpreted, misunderstood. We talked about in the last episode our own misinterpretations, our own misunderstandings as it related to intimacy. We touched on intimacy with God and things like that. And so I'll kick it off with some of my challenges with intimacy. Um, with the misinterpretation of intimacy, I've been challenged in the area of, if intimacy is related to anything physical. Do I have to physically, touch a person? Do I have to physically be around a person in order for it to be considered intimacy? And I'm so glad that that definition has been shifted for me. Whereas now I understand that it's about connecting. It's about knowing a person, even, on all facets, right? So like your closest friendships, if your closest friends are ultimately defined by how well you know them, what you have in common, some of the things you've gone through together, and you would feel confident enough to say, for a person that you consider to be your very close friend, that there's intimacy involved. You are intimate with that individual because you know things about them, they know things about you. There are things that you all can do, and the other person is aware, before they even say anything.
Basically, y'all on a deeper level.
Right.
Of
Right.
relationship than say like an acquaintance is, or even like an average friend.
Right, associates. You don't get real deep with associates. It's surface level. It's they might know, that you have children. They may know you're married. They may know you what college you went to, but they don't know the details about you that someone you are intimate with would know. And a challenge for me as far as intimacy in a love relationship has been vulnerability, right? Because you cannot experience intimacy without being vulnerable. And vulnerable requires you to be humble. Vulnerable requires you to not be prideful, because pride can stop you from being vulnerable for sure. Because pride will say, oh, you don't need to do all that. Or you doing too much. But in order for you to be vulnerable, in order for you to kind of let the walls down and be, transparent with the person you're trying to build something with, because you can't build trust if you won't be vulnerable and give them something to be trusted with, right? So, but that's been a challenge for me. I can say that as far as solutions go, I talk about it. I also do work on my own outside of talking to Jelani or even talking to friends where I'm having challenges becoming more familiar and intimate with them. I spend a lot of time myself on my own, just kind of talking through things. Where am I challenged? Where are my walls at? What am I doing this and why don't I want to do this? What am I afraid of? And doing that self work helps me to be more vulnerable, because if you want intimacy, you have to give it, right? Like I can't have an expectation for you to be more intimate with me, get to know me on a deeper level, learn more about me if I myself am not willing to do and extend the same thing to you.
Yeah, it becomes one sided.
Yes. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, Mr. Wilson. Let's talk a little bit about your challenges with intimacy.
Oh boy, where do we start?
Come on, speak up so the people in the back can hear you.
Funny. Um, a lot of my challenges, I would have to say, one one big thing is I overthink
Mm-hmm.
what an intimate relationship is supposed to look like for
Mm-hmm.
myself. And what I mean by that is, you know how you always look at different people and like different couples and see how they interact with each other,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of like think, oh well, that's how I had to do it to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Where I've learned now, you have to tailor make it to who you are and the people that you're connected with.
Yep.
And that's how I learned how to, open up a little bit more.
Yep.
And people know a little bit more about me and who I am, what I stand for, um, my fears, the things that I strive to do in life, my relationship with God. They know me on a deeper level because I tell them make my relationship with them to fit, to be a little bit more open
Mm-hmm.
because everybody's personality is different. So
Mm-hmm.
you can't like give like a boxed, answer about here. This is what you're supposed to do. Step one, two, three, four,
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to be different for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you have to first know who you are, know who you want to be around and
Mm-hmm.
who you want to be connected to, the
Mm-hmm.
type of characters and people, and then you just cultivate it from there.
Yep. We apologize for any wildlife sounds that you hear in the background. We told you guys in the first episode that this is a real podcast. And so, no, we do not have a production team here. We do not have editors. We do not have soundproof walls and booths. So, if you hear a bark or two in the background, it is a senior dog that we have here who doesn't understand what be quiet means. So, I'm just going to put that out there for all the folks that are listening and for everybody that can hear on the YouTube and see us. It is what it is. Episode 9, Season 1. You'll
Get all the
get
surprises.
all of it. You're gonna get it all. You'll get it all. Um, but no, you made some very, very good points. Especially about tailoring it. I think we're all guilty, at least I know I am, of when there's a particular inadequacy in me or an area where I'm challenged, where I know I need to mature, where I need to grow, I need to do better. I'll rely on particular resources to kind of get an understanding, but also at the same time, I'll make an attempt to try to follow this model.
Mhm.
And then when it doesn't work for me, I'm just like, oh, that's not for me to do. But the truth is, you have to, it first starts with knowing yourself. So if you know you're not a talker, and you know, he raised his hands for the people that are listening. He raised his hands when I said you're
And
not a
I'm not
talker.
talking. But sure.
But if you know you're not a talker and you're reading a resource that's trying to help you to, better mature with your intimacy or whatever, right? And so the book says, oh, spend more time having conversations with this person, but you know you're not a talker. So and you can read that resource and glean from it what you will, but you take that information and what you know to be true about yourself, and you put together something that works for you and helps you to express and be more intimate in the way that you desire to be, right? And so what I'm learning how to do, the first thing that's the most important is being self-aware. I think that's the biggest thing you can do for yourself is being aware of you, aware of your issues, aware of where you need to mature, aware of what you have matured in, aware of how much you've grown, where you want to grow to. Self-awareness is important because if you are aware of yourself, you're aware of what you need, what you have, and what you don't have, it makes it easier to define not only what you need, but what you also have the capacity to give to others. Because if you aren't aware of yourself, if you don't know, I don't really like getting to know people by being in large crowds. I prefer to like get to know people in an intimate setting. If you don't know that to be true about yourself, you put yourself in situations and find out that this is very uncomfortable for you, or you
Or
yeah
you feel overwhelmed.
overwhelmed, right?
Because like if you're a quiet person and you're like, I'm gonna go to a mixer and try to meet people, it's not gonna go very well for
Mm-mm.
you.
You're gonna sit at your little high boy table with your drink and sip, and you're gonna hope people come over and talk to you. But the goal and the expectation is you're supposed to engage, you're supposed to talk. And so if you're self-aware, you know that's not my move. Maybe an awareness of self where you if you decide you want to get to know people, you start out in a way that's comfortable for you. Might start out with some virtual engaging where you're not in front of each other and that awkward in person. So you're engaging, maybe some telephone, texting, stuff like that. But the main point that I wanted to drive home is self-awareness, I think, is a big contributor to you maturing and understanding intimacy at your individual level, right?
Yeah.
Would you say at this point in this stage in your life, with other things that we all need to grow and mature in, are you self-aware?
At this point in my life,
Mm-hmm.
way more,
Mm-hmm.
way more.
And you would consider that to be a big contributor to you growing when it comes to intimacy, right?
Yeah.
Cool. See, it works, it works, it works. And another thing too that I really wanted to talk about as it related to intimacy is there's something that with mentees that I've been talking to recently, there's something that I've challenged myself to do, and it is getting back to me, right? And when I say getting back to me, I mean I wanted to just take a moment with everything that's going on because we can do our day to day thing, we can do our work, we can do our family, we can do all of our day to day things, and we forget, who we are. We forget what makes us smile, what makes us, relax and chill, and so getting back to me is the challenge that I made to myself for things that I like. Like I love vinyl records. So playing my vinyl records, watching some of my favorite movies that I've watched a million times, but I can sit down and watch them like I've never watched them before. Um, Listening to some music from a time that was one of my favorite times. One of my favorite times of my life was like the early '90s. Listening to like early '90s SWV and Jodeci and the New Jack Swing uh era.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? Those things bring me joy. Those things make me happy, right? I love old school gospel. That stuff makes me happy. Let me get back to me. And I found that in getting back to me, knowing who I am and the people that I engage with, the people that either I'm closest to or the people that I am consistently engaging with on a day to day basis, especially the people that I do want to forge more of an intimate relationship with, being aware of myself helps me to know how I can approach them, how I can engage with them, right? And intimacy as it relates to our relationship, I'm spending a lot more time now observing, right? And I recognize that if whatever I think I need from Jelani, the first thing, which we talked about in a few episodes ago, is I have to number one communicate it because I never ever want him to attempt to try to read my mind. But after I've communicated it, then I leave the floor open for him to process it as he knows himself, and then he can take that and bring back to me what he is aware of that he can provide. Because it's not about him meeting my expectations. It's about him being aware of what his capacity is, and what he has to give should be enough for me. Right?
Makes sense.
So, as far as intimacy at the stage you are in your life, I know that you don't have a lot of close relationships and you're working on building, your network and getting to know people and stepping out more. What are some of the things that you could say you have let's see, what's the word I'm looking for? We talked about your misinterpretations of intimacy, but what are some of the things that you could say today, um, when you start to build out this your circle and you start to build out your life with your friends and family relationships and things like that? What are some of the things that you are able to do now to improve your intimate relationships?
Mm, I think like a lot of what you said is like self-reflecting
Mm-hmm.
on who you are and noticing, what makes you tick.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I know I'm not, I mean, I could, have a good conversation with people,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of times I feel awkward.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, it's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I kind of combat that is I just kind of like have to like relax myself
Mm-hmm.
and just let myself know that people are just trying to get to know who I am.
Yeah.
They're not having like some kind of like weird expectations of who I should be.
Yep.
So a lot of times I have to get out of my own head
Yeah.
because I can overthink it and just like put like this unnecessary amount of pressure on myself to like hold like a 30-minute conversation with somebody
Yeah.
where I was never built that way to
Yeah.
do that in the first place. So I'm more comfortable in my skin now because I say what I have to
Yep.
say what's on my mind, and then I put the ball back in the other person's court. They want to like bounce back, have a conversation that way. Cool. If not, that's cool too.
Yep.
And I had to learn that that's okay.
Yep. Yep.
I had to stop comparing myself with how other people interact with other people
Yes. Yes.
because it always made me like not like my personality and the way God set me up
Yeah. Yeah.
to be who the makeup of who I am.
Yeah.
So I learned how to just be more, embrace more of who I am,
Mm-hmm.
and then people could just see who I am and just we just interact from there.
Yeah. And I mean, but that's it. Intimacy is getting to know.
Right.
So once people get to know you, you know, and you both make a decision that I like what I see. I like who I'm engaging with. I like what I'm learning about you, right? And you make a decision to let down more walls, be more vulnerable, because you're ever growing, ever changing, ever
Yeah,
learning.
you're evolving
So
every
who
day.
you are today is not going to be you 5 years from now. The foundational character of who you are doesn't
You hope
change.
you're not the same person in
Well, yeah,
5 years.
the truth is, I'm gonna be honest with you, even if you have the same habits and characteristics you had 5 years ago, you still not the same person. The thing is, and that's why holding on to old habits and old ways and getting stuck in your ways becomes more and more miserable for you because you are still evolving. You're still growing there because you refuse to change your thought process. Guess what? You're only making the space smaller for yourself. And you're more miserable because you refuse to evolve. You refuse to change your thought patterns. You refuse to mature in whatever these characteristics are that you're still holding on to from 15 years ago. But you've changed. And so yeah, I think that is key. And we just wanted to come back, in a part two, of the episode 8, and just really talk about intimacy because it is something that I feel like we just don't talk about enough. And we talk about it, at least like we said in the last episode, from a sexual perspective, and it is so much deeper than that, so much deeper. And when you look at the real definition of intimacy, and you realize in the different relationships, like family relationships where people you're really close to, because not all children have intimate relationships with their parents, and that's facts.
Yeah.
That's facts. There are some very tactical and technical relationships that happen. Mom and dad provide, and the child is being stewarded over. Then the child gets to an age where they're able to take care of themselves, so they go on and they live their life, and mom and dad do whatever it is they do. So there's no intimacy there. Whereas when the child separates and becomes their own person, if they don't come back and share the happenings of their life, that's that absence of intimacy, right? Then you have the family relationships where you have siblings, where there's no intimacy among siblings. You got siblings that don't know nothing about each other.
Or don't like each other.
Or don't like it. Facts. Facts. So when you think about intimacy, it really is a gift that, if you choose to become intimate with the person, it's a gift because you're giving of yourself. You're letting down your walls. You're showing your heart, and so you're not intimate with everybody you meet. You're not. You're not intimate with everybody that's got the same things in common with you. You're not intimate with everybody that looks like you. You are intimate with the people that you choose to trust through discernment, through awareness, and whatever other characteristics that you choose to use to validate that pursuit of intimacy. That's what it is. But we just wanted to touch on it and talk about it a little bit more. We hope to engage in some more like in-person conversations as we go through some different transitions that we're doing in our family. Once we get things situated and settled with those different transitions, we will, try to have some opportunities through the It Takes Work community where we can do some in-person mixers and gatherings. We do have our 2023 couples retreat or trip. I don't like to call it a retreat because we're really not going to be grouped up like that, but it is a couples trip to Negril, Jamaica next summer, July 13th through the 17th. So if you are interested in joining us, the packages are still available. We can get you a quote from your destination to Montego Bay, Jamaica. And the trip cost does include your flight, your lodging at an all inclusive hotel, airport transfer, and pre departure travel insurance. Not actual travel insurance, but pre departure travel insurance. And so if you're interested, give us a email. Our email address is up at the top here of the banner. And then you can also visit us on the web. Go to the Following His Way website and you'll find the It Takes Work page on the main menu there. Okay? So we just want to thank you guys for joining us. We will be back December, which is tomorrow. December is tomorrow. Can y'all believe that? But we'll be back next month with episode 10, the final episode for season 1. We just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for your support. And we look forward to serving you guys more in this last episode. And we're going to get all of the content and everything together for season 2. We're excited about season 2 already because it's going to be, I think it's going to be good. It's going to be interesting, right? So thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching us on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening to us on the podcast platforms, please take a moment, follow our page. Give us your feedback. We like feedback. We like constructive criticism. We don't like this social media gangster stuff that people are doing where they feel like their opinion is the gospel. We don't like that. We don't take well to that.
Or don't care.
We that part. Yeah, we don't care. Um, we do hope that you all enjoyed tonight's episode, and we will be back in December. Thank you guys. Take care.